Life Over Coffee. Conversations for Transformation.
Hello everyone, Rick Thomas here. Thank you so much for joining me for a little Life Over Coffee. By the way, if you haven't checked out our coffee shop, it is in cyberspace. The address is lifeovercoffee.com, where I write about the practical message of Christ, how to live the Christ life in most practical ways. I am currently going through my book. It's a 31-day devotional called Living Boldly. I'm working through each devotion, and today I want to talk about day 8. And I titled it, Your Parents Weren't Always Boring. Believe it or not, they had lives before you showed up. They had interests. They had a lot more freedom before you came along. Now, I'm not trying to gaslight you or put you on any kind of guilt trip. Just want to state factually that before you showed up, they had another kind of life. Here's the truth. Your parents' lives changed dramatically the moment you entered into the picture. Now, that is a good thing. I'm not framing it in a negative light. It was a good thing before you showed up, and it was a good thing when you showed up, but those are two different worlds. Now, again, no gaslighting here. It's not that you are a problem. Not saying that at all. I am saying that raising a child comes with enormous responsibility. Paying bills, doing laundry, keeping up with your needs, keeping up with your desires. They leave little time for the fun and the spontaneity that they had prior to having children. I tell people that when they first pregnant, or maybe they just had the child, I say you just add 20. You just add 20 years to your life. Our youngest child, I was 46, and so I added 20 years. I'll be 66. There it is for 20 years, from 46 to 66. If you have children when you're 26, 26 to 46, those years are devoted to that child. But they do that because they love you, and they believe that their life is worth more than their former freedoms. They're willing to sacrifice what they had for what they can have with you. Parenting is a picture of the gospel, giving up your freedom for the good of others. The text for this devotion is Hebrews 12:15. The Hebrew writer said, "See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up, causing trouble, and by it many become defiled." Before you move out to start your life, maybe you've already moved out, but what I would like for you to do is take a moment and to think about what your parents have done for you. Let me frame it this way. Do you have high expectations for how others should treat you while neglecting to honor the sacrifices that your parents have made for you? One way to show gratitude is by pitching in to help with household responsibilities. Small acts of service can go a long way in showing them respect, in honoring them, in expressing appreciation for them. Now, maybe your experience with your parents were different. I want to acknowledge that. Perhaps your parents haven't sacrificed for you, or maybe they have failed you in real ways. Maybe you felt more like a burden to them than a blessing. I know that would be my story, no question. And if that's the case, I'm sorry for your experience. I really am. I actually understand that experience very much. It's painful when parents fail to fulfill their God-given roles. But even if your parents haven't led you well, you can choose a different path. Not by reacting sinfully to them, but by responding redemptively to God. What if you became the responsible one in your family? Instead of letting their failures define you, you can rise above that. You can become the grown-up in the room. Parental irresponsibility doesn't have to be your destiny. You can break the cycle and create a new legacy for your future family. Don't carry a chip on your shoulder because you listen to this devotion. It's like, well, my parents didn't sacrifice. Well, I guarantee you they did, no matter how bad they were. For years, I carried a chip on my shoulder because I felt cheated by life, especially by my parents. My bitterness grew into resentment and unforgiveness, poisoning my heart, clouding my judgment. Eventually, I realized that I was no better than my parents. Listen to the irony here. We condemn our parents, which is sinful. What are we condemning them for? We're condemning them for being sinful, and we're doing it sinfully. I complained about their failures without addressing my own. The Bible word for this is hypocrisy. One day, your parents will no longer be here. When that day comes, the choices you make will be entirely your own. Blaming them won't be an option then. It would prove wise to respond differently today. This devotion is day 8 from my book, Living Boldly. I titled it, somewhat whimsically, maybe tongue-in-cheek, Your Parents Weren't Always Boring. Thank them today for their sacrifice. And if they haven't sacrificed according to your expectations, and maybe your expectations are legit, then don't fall into the trap of sinning as they have sinned.
Thanks for joining us. Learn more and get access to other resources at lifeovercoffee.com.